Hi, Jordan. How are you? It's Steve, and today is Tuesday, May 26th. I hope you and your family had a nice Memorial Day weekend. The weather wasn't that bad. We had some pretty good days, so I hope you had a chance to enjoy it. Um, I did hear that you got some of the stories that I recorded, and that's great. I hope that you enjoyed them. I heard that there were some problems with the sound, and hopefully this sounds a little bit better. But please just keep letting TutorMate know if there are problems, and I'll work on it some more. Anyway, I wanted to read a couple stories and send them over to you today. And I wanted to start with Jessie's Hill by Anne Harth. And please feel free to read along with me. Okay. Jesse pushed his bike into the driveway. Can I come to the zoo, Dennis? Can you ride to the top of the hill? His brother asked. His friends were ready to go. So this looks like the younger brother over here on the left. And then maybe this one, because they look similar hair, is his older brother who's going to the zoo with his friends. So let's see if Jesse gets to go with his older brother, Dennis. Jesse looked up at the steep hill. I think I can, he said. Let's go, Dennis and his friends rode. Let's go. Dennis and his friends rode away. Jesse jumped on his bike. He pedaled as hard as he could. He passed Mrs. Johnson's house. Always important. Try to always remember, like I'm trying to remember to do, which is stopping at the end of each sentence where there's a period. Don't try to read so fast that you blow through the end of a sentence, whether it's a period or a question mark or an exclamation point. Those all end sentences, and you need to just take one short breath before you keep reading. It helps whoever's listening to understand the story better. Okay, here we go. Now um, look at his face. He looks like what? He looks like he's getting tired, right? And his brother and friends are getting pretty far ahead. It says his legs were shaky. He passed Peter Potter's house. It was hard to breathe. He was hot. He stopped in front of the yellow house. I see him doing something over here. It looks like, what does that look like? Yeah, it looks like he's wiping his face, right, with a cloth or a towel. Jesse, Dennis called from the top of the hill. Jesse looked up. When you can ride to the top, you can come. Jesse stamped his foot. His brother disappeared over the hill. The next day, Jesse tried again. He jumped on his bike. He pedaled as hard as he could. He passed Mrs. Jennings' house. He passed Peter Potter's house. His legs were shaky. It was hard to breathe. It was hot, but he passed the yellow house too. Jessie tried to ride up the hill every day. His legs were shaky and it was hard to breathe, but every day he rode a little farther. What does that tell you about Jessie? Well, we know he really wants to go to the zoo, and we know he probably really wants to hang around with his older brother and their friends. But I think the most important thing it tells us about Jessie is that he doesn't give up easily. And that's a really good quality in anything that you do, is to not give up right away. If there's an old saying that says, if at first you don't succeed, try again. So a lot of us don't always succeed the first time we try something. Happened to me a lot in my life, but I kept trying, and a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times, I was able to figure it out or get it done. So that's an important lesson. It was Saturday morning. Jesse pushed his bike into the driveway. Dennis and his friends were leaving. "Where are you going?" Jesse said. Dennis stopped. "We're going to the zoo. Can I come?" "Can you ride to the top of the hill?" "Watch me." Jesse pumped on his bike. He pedaled as hard as he could. He rode past Mrs. Jennings' house. He rode past Peter Potter's house. He rode past the yellow house. His legs were shaky. He pedaled harder. "Go, Jesse. You can do it." Dennis and his friends cheered. He pedaled harder. He passed 3 more houses. He was almost to the top of the hill. His legs were shaky. It was hard to breathe. Jesse was hot, but he didn't stop. His bike slowed down. It wobbled, but he kept moving. Jesse stood on his pedals and pushed. He reached the top. He looked down at Dennis and his friends. They were puffing and panting. They rode up the hill. Dennis patted Jesse on the back. "Do you want to come to the zoo?" he said. Jesse grinned. So that was nice that the older brother and his friends, they supported him, right? And they cheered for him, and then he patted him on the back. And the most important thing is that Dennis, the older brother, he kept his promise and he let him come to the zoo. So, some comprehension questions. The story's main idea is Jesse practiced until he could bike up the hill. What is the lesson? The lesson is a little bit what I talked about before, right? About never giving up, or at least not giving up easily. Trying your best and keep trying until you hopefully succeed, which may not be every time, but most times you will. What makes Dennis a good big brother? What do you think? Jordan? I think that you probably already know this. You probably already said it, but he kept his promise and he cheered him on, and his friends cheered him on. How did Jessie finally get up the hill? Practice, 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 and persistence. Persistence means that he didn't give up. He just kept trying and doing a little better each time. And that's really important in life. Okay, so we're done with that story. I'm going to stop this recording and I'm going to record a second one, and then I'll send that one too. Bye, Jordan.